I'm back. Um, I'm back like I never left, but I did leave. There was a knock at the door. I got some mechanical things I got to get done in the apartment, so that was maintenance. So sorry for the abrupt disruption, but disruption is bound to happen at times, and that's okay. Not something that I can control, not in this instance, because the work needs to be done. Okay. So I was talking about how our bodies are hardwired to protect itself from harm using the same chemicals and mechanisms to keep us safe. And that is why it is so much easier to avoid than it is to advance. So it's easier for you to avoid doing what you were supposed to be doing than it is for you to advance into uncharted territory, right? It depends on what it is that you're avoiding. Avoiding taking out the trash versus avoiding starting the business, avoiding getting another loan or getting into debt or getting married. Like a lot of times we prolong these big decisions in our lives, but it's fear of success that's hindering us, right? Especially when everything is lined up. There's no red flags. All systems go. You got the guy saying, come on down the runway. It's okay to land the plane right here. And you're like, that is fear of success. You're just avoiding it. You refuse to land the plane. Everyone's late because you decided that you don't want to do what you are supposed to be doing. Okay. Holding up everybody, right? Holding up the crowd. My ears are lopsided. Oh, well. So anyway, personally, not all advancements in my life have been difficult. Okay. There's some advancements that I had put enough preparation in, time in, that I could not be stopped. Success was imminent at that point. And I believe that is what I would want us to accomplish by people who are listening to me. We need to be at a level of preparedness for changes in our lives to where success is the only way. There was a time in my life where I was actually dominating a sport. In the entire city, with my hometown, I threw the shot put. And I was one of the most dominant shot putters that had come out of the area in 50 years. No one has seen that. Well, there was a guy at Bullet Creek who did it in the 70s. But besides him, no one had picked up the sport like I did. But in order to dominate like that, the process was the most important thing for me. I was doing the things that no one else was doing. I was sacrificing the time that nobody else was willing to sacrifice. I changed everything about myself to devote myself to it. I did not have any other decision. I remember my coach came up to me and asked me, he said, Michael, Coach Wilczek, Michael, Alma College is looking for football players. You want to play football? And I said, Coach Wilczek, he's like, you also have an opportunity. You're a pretty good shot putter, I heard. I was like, yep, I am. He goes, what do you want to do? You want to play football or you want to throw a shot put? I was like, I got a lot of offers to go into bigger schools to throw the shot put. So I think I'm just going to focus on that, coach. He goes, good choice. He walked away. I was like, okay. He's like, you sure? You're pretty good at football too. I could just, So there was a lot that happened in that conversation. I don't remember. That was years ago. Oh, I think it's over 20 years ago. Close to 20 years. So, but that just goes to show you when you decide, you cut off all those other options. There's nothing else. And when I made that decision, it was easier for me to prepare myself and prepare my life and prepare to throw this thing as far as I could possibly throw. I'm going for the school record. I'm going to be the best that Midland has seen in a long time. I'm trying, right? And I devoted myself in the weight room. I stopped hanging with people after school. I'm like, if you want to hang with me, you're going to hang with me in the gym. That's what you're going to do. If you want to be around me, you can be around me in the gym. That's what we doing. Okay. If it was like feast or famine for me, but I was choosing feast because I'll go through famine just so that I could feast. So by my senior year, dominated 13 feet, blowing people out, beating people. And they were just like, wow, I don't really stand a chance. And I enjoyed it. It was awesome. You're throwing 55 and they're throwing 41. just the next person next to you is your teammate and they're throwing 48. You almost expect to win when you're throwing 5 feet, 6 feet past everyone at every meet. Then you get to regionals and you get some competition and things change. Or you get to Division I, and that same hunger that got you there, you have to change that to another level. You have to level up. Because in college, they force you to train at the level at which you were training at to be the great at your high school level. But college is a whole nother level of devotion if you want to make it to that next level. And at times, man, it's exhausting. It's pushing you past what you possibly thought you could do. Going to another level of performance takes a lot of discipline. Missing out on things. Keeping your circle small. Okay. There has been some level of difficulty that has been necessary for me to have meaningful and lasting progress. That level I was talking about earlier, they actually have a name for it. It's called the desirable difficulties. So when you decide something, you're assuming a desired level of difficulty when you advance, right? So as I advanced, I began to embrace the challenges and I began to find deeper understanding, right, in those challenges. So for example, I realized that my challenge is confidence and my insecurity and being secure with my insecurities, right? I found deeper understanding of those things, right? So what happens is when you find understanding, you find an aspect of wisdom, right? Because wisdom is knowledge and understanding. So first you get knowledge of it, then through experience, you get the understanding. So then what happens is when you get both and you experience this desirable difficulty that happens in your life, once you advanced, so once you've decided, okay, I'm going to go to the next level. We're not talking about avoidance. We're talking about advancement. So once you decide to advance, what happens is that same old fear, that same old anxiety and discomfort that you're pushing through, what happens is you begin to embrace that and have a deeper understanding of the direction you're going in your purpose, right? And what happens is when you have that deeper understanding, you begin to build resiliency. And the outcomes of the advancement become more rewarding because you've achieved what we call a sense of accomplishments, right? That's the result of advancing, because the resiliency and the process, that beautiful process that I talk about, makes it all worth it in life. So let's talk about this fear of success and failure, the paralysis, and why that's not good. Bible. Revelations 3:15, it says, I know all the things you do. This is in red, so Jesus, judge, says, I know all the things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. These are people. This is the problem of indecision I'm talking about. Okay. I wish that you were one or the other. But since you are like lukewarm water, shout out to Pastor Joshua. Last Sunday was amazing. Neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. You say, I'm rich. I have everything I want. I don't need a thing. And you don't realize that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. So I advise you to buy gold from me, gold that has been purified by fire. Then you will be rich. I advise you buy gold from me, which is wisdom. Buy wisdom from me, right? That has been purified by fire. It's been tested. The wisdom that Christ has, buy that from him. Then you'll be rich. Also buy white garments from me, so you will not be shamed by your nakedness, because I'm stripping you of everything. Because you're like lukewarm water. You have nothing. You sit there in indecision. So I'm stripping you naked so that you make a choice, so that you have to purchase something, which is wisdom from me, to get out of this indecision. And also buy anointment for your eyes so that you'll be able to see. So you have vision. I just talked about vision. Go back and watch it. Okay? I correct and discipline everyone I love. Jesus loves everyone, so he's going to discipline you. This is for everybody because he loves everyone. Okay? So be diligent and turn from your indifference. Okay? Be diligent and turn from being indifferent. Let's talk about that. So breaking down the scripture, avoidance, back to avoidance, not advancement. Avoidance actually feels miserable. When you're avoiding something, you think it's comfortable, but it's actually misery, right? The strong adage, misery loves company. Yeah. Your avoidance actually is miserable, right? You think that you're comfortable, but really you're miserable because you're avoiding what you're supposed to be doing that's going to bring you rest. So instead, you think escapism feels good, but really it's misery that you're feeling because you want the company of what you're escaping to, right? Because you're miserable because you are avoiding what you know you're supposed to be doing. So avoidance is a place of poverty. You're broke because you're avoiding. You're blind because you're avoiding. And you are naked because of your avoidance and your indifference. In avoidance, we are uncovered because we have allowed indifference to keep us in a place of indecision. This place is where shame is prevalent. So now you're shameful. People call you out. You get exposed. Now you're shamed. Oh, I don't want to go over here. I don't want to do that. Shame, right? Imagine being in a room full of investors. Here's an example. You're in a room full of investors, right? And you got a billionaire. You got Bill Gates himself. You got Mark Zuckerberg in the room. You've got all of these tycoons who loved your proposal, right? You've actually put the proposal out there. You've got this dream business idea. But when you go to, they extend you an offer, you become indifferent about the actual proposal itself. Like you don't even want to, you're avoiding even committing to whatever they're giving you. Like, well, I think I don't, well, they're offering you $2.5 million right now in your hand, plus a 10% royalty on profits, and will extend your business. They're giving you everything to make a play on your product, like a Shark Tank, right? But you don't know if you're going to do it. So when they extend the offer to you, we see it all the time. If you watch Shark Tank, you'll see people make these indecisions. They get indifferent about the offer, right? And what ends up happening? Everybody backs out. Oh no, actually, I can't give you a better offer. See you. Peace. Okay. And that's because they become indifferent. They believe they have a better offer in some cases. Well, I can do better by myself. Sometimes they turn away something because they're avoidant, right? They're avoidant. They don't want to release control of their own product, right? I put so much time and effort into this, and it's worth more than what you're offering me, and blah, 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 blah. But I'm offering you $10 million, bro. And it's still a stake in your company on some of the profit. So, like, you're not losing anything. Oh, I mean, I just, I don't understand. They get into these deals and they don't realize who they're dealing with, okay? So, in this instance of this dream business idea with all these billionaires, what ends up happening most of the time? That investor, that billionaire, will then take his investment, his offer that he put on the table for you. If you're indifferent, he'll take it away and give it to the person that's not afraid to succeed or fail. Because it's better to do something with something than to do nothing with nothing. Because doing nothing with nothing, it doesn't give you anything. Our indifference in life, my indifference in life, is a success killer. It takes success and it kills it. Okay. Oftentimes, I've seen this happen in my life. I've done it, right? My indecision leads to these missed opportunities. And from the pain of my indifference or my indecision, I watch somebody else do the exact same thing that I was supposed to do. And that's a miserable place to be. That should have been me. That's my house. That's my car. That's the job I was supposed to have. That's my wife, man. I was supposed to be with that girl, bro. What a miserable place that is. Because you're avoiding. Your avoidance. And you know what's interesting? Your avoidance it's hard, but it's also toxic in a way. Because the same chemical, like I said, we can't tell the difference. Your body, your flesh, from the All in Church quote, your flesh, but your body can't determine the difference between the two chemical mechanisms that from fear, anxiety to protection, right? It's the same thing. So you have to be wise and know when you're being avoidant. You have to have discernment, but you ultimately have to decide. Okay. So how do we change this toxic way or behavior? Because this toxicity destroys relationships. It destroys careers. It destroys opportunity. It destroys everything. And it ultimately destroys your future because you spend time thinking about past failure. You sit in it because you're indifferent. And it's hard for you to do something new in your life because you sit there thinking about the past. And during all that time, you're thinking about the past. Whatever does come in your life that's new, and then you've been in this avoidance cycle, you leave that new thing wondering, where do they stand with you? Where do they stand? Like, what's the purpose? Why am I here? Think about your job. Your job, your avoidance speaks loud to the job. Why did we hire you? Think about your team. You're avoiding the teammate. Like, he doesn't like us. Why would we work for them? If you're a leader and you're avoiding your staff, oh my goodness. They're not going to work for you. Productivity is going to be down. Okay. So how do we get rid of avoidance? I'm a man of faith, but I love the Bible. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7. That was the NIV. Okay, I'm going to get real personal. Okay. I'm talking about the opposite of the spirit that God has given us. So when you are fearful, this is when we make that advance and we get fearful and we avoid. Okay. So when I am fearful and avoidant, it becomes identifiable in my leadership. Okay. When we lead out of fear and avoidance, you can identify it because you're weak, unable, and impotent. That means you don't have any power as a leader. Okay. You stop loving and you avoid interactions with everyone around you. Okay. You operate in a spirit of apathy and indifference where you don't care about anyone other than yourself. And the last thing, that self-discipline and other texts sound mind stuff, that's identifiable because it's the most dangerous one. And that attacks your mindset. And as a leader, mindset, and as an individual, mindset dictates what you do. So you have a mindset and a self-discipline issue or problem when you operate out of the spirit of fear. When we have a dysfunctional mindset, we try to lead people and failure is imminent. Okay. So you can't operate in this spirit of fear, anxiety either. Okay. A spirit of anxiety, it's hard to lead people like that. Okay. Because you have the same traits. It's the traits of anything outside of the spirit of God leads to these type of identifiable things. You see those in leaders who are dealing with everything besides the spirit that God put in them. God puts a spirit in each and every one of us to be effective as leaders. With the mindset problem, you feel crazy. Have you ever talked to somebody who's fearful and they don't make a bit of sense? Like, man, you are crazy. The mind is constantly turning. They're worried. They're doubt. They feed you all of that and expect you to listen to them. And they cover it with pride and arrogance and foolishness, according to wisdom. They cover it up. And they try to mask it as if it's not there. But those who are wise and those who have what? Understanding can see straight through it. If you work for anybody else and stuff is missing, the team is missing, right? Somebody has to step up. Somebody has to get the job done. Somebody has to do the task. Why not to be you? Stop avoiding. Because when you're leading other people, just remember, this is not the spirit that God gave us, according to 2 Timothy 1:7. To counteract the successful attempt of eternal failure through avoidance, I must overcome this by developing an entrepreneurial mindset where no is no longer an option, and it removes fear, eliminating failure, a mentality that breeds success as the only option. That is the goal of an entrepreneurial mind. It creates value that solves problems, and it also drives innovation. Changing my approach and thoughts towards failure have helped me eliminate doubt, worry, and fear. By doing this, success has really, truly only become the only option. Okay. Again, my talk of wisdom was about patience, was about working through the pain of life. Not saying that you won't feel fearful. It's going to happen. But remember that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of self-discipline or of sound mind, not timidity. not hesitations, right? Just go for it. Pursue. The Lord told David, pursue. Should I chase these people? Yes, go. Go, David. Kill them now and to overtake them. So change your approach. I have to work. It's hard work, but it can be done with preparation and preparedness. Remember doing the things that nobody's willing to do, losing a little bit of sleep, sacrificing time just to spend time doing the things that's moving the needle forward. So adopt a mindset that creates value and solves problems and drives innovation. Entrepreneurialism is not merely about profit or position. You think it's about the money. You think it's about, oh, I have freedom to do whatever I want to do. No, it's more about purpose. Why am I doing this? Who am I serving? It's more about service than anything. It's the audacity to believe that even in uncertain times like today, there is possibility. To think like an entrepreneur is to see the invisible, seeing things that others can't see. Yes, the dopamine spiking. Don't let the dopamine stop you from advancing. It's to act on intuition guided by wisdom. Wisdom said, stand outside her house and wait for her, right? Use that. Guided by wisdom and with the intention to pursue innovation, and do it with courage when others are timid. So when they hesitate, you go boldly with courage. Wisdom whispers that no is never final. So wisdom would tell you that no is never final. Okay? It's just right now, it's no. So learn to deal with the rejection. Okay? Insecurity, right? No is never final, right? It's an invitation just to think differently, to create, to lead, to build. Okay? The entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur, is always learning. And an entrepreneur learns that change is both the test and the teacher. So entrepreneur mindset means you understand that change will teach you something. But another entrepreneur will tell you that fear is only a signal not to stop. Dr. Martin says, do it scared. That success is born not from comfort, that escapism, right? But from your conviction. Every failure carries within it a blueprint of growth. This is a growing opportunity for us. It's about growing. And every obstacle conceals an opportunity waiting to be uncovered, discovered, explored, looked into, all of that. Having an entrepreneurial mindset means remaining curious in the face of your challenges. So like myself, my confidence and my insecurities, right? I have to be curious about those things. What am I learning about that? That's curiosity. It keeps me from going down a rabbit hole that's unproductive. It means approaching problems with openness and creativity, seeing solutions where others see limitation. Boundaries, are you closing me in or keeping me out of something? True entrepreneurs take the risk. Hey, you're keeping something away from me behind those doors. And I need to know what that is. I'm going to take the risk and at least peek over. If I get shot in the head, that's my problem. Okay. I'm joking. Please don't do that. But not recklessly. Okay. So know your environment. Know where to take that risk, that calculated risk. Go watch Risky Business. Okay. Entrepreneurs balance boldness with wisdom, research, and informed decision making. Okay? They balance boldness with wisdom, research, and informed decision making. Entrepreneurs understand that failure is not a verdict, but a classroom. A classroom that shapes resilience to change. It shapes your resiliency when change happens. It shapes your humility when change happens. It shapes your vision when change happens. And ultimately, entrepreneurs are change makers. They look to change things, right? They adapt to evolving landscapes. They anticipate shifts. So having a strategy for the storm when it comes, guys, please understand that with every intention, this follows disruption, right? So anything that you plan to do, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be choppy waves in the water. There's going to be barriers and obstacles at everything that we plan to do. We just have to anticipate those things, right? Not from an anxiety anticipation, and not an expectation that it's going to be a problem, but just shift, pivot where we need, plan these pivots. If this happens, then we can plan for it. That's strategic, right? You know, when I plan to eat McDonald's, this is bad. Or I go to Taco Bell. Well, I'm gonna get a bottle of Pepto. You get what I'm saying? Like you know that it's gonna rip your stomach apart. You know you're lactose intolerant, so why not get the stuff you need so you don't have to run back out when it hits? You know what I mean? Like, it's that level of strategic. So for a more corporate example is, you know that so-and-so is underperforming. You know that within the organizational guideline, you have X amount of time in the performance improvement plan. So why not prepare yourself for when that person performs in a way that you know they're going, right? You know they're not cutting it. You know this job's not for them. Prepare strategically. What is your exit strategy? Plan to have XYZ. Maybe move the schedule around, buffer the schedule so that you put them in a non-pivotal time period of the day. See if they want to change the schedule. They're going to weed themselves out. Put them in a position to where it doesn't impact the team if they change. Transition them into a role that has less responsibility, may come with less pay, but you get to retain a staff member, or you get to put them in a position where they are more successful. Move those pieces around and anticipating those shifts. So that it removes the uncertainty and turns all of that into strategy. Okay. Entrepreneurs have a tendency of being and staying connected to their industry, to their people, their teams, to their purpose, because that's what their businesses are built on, are those things. So they have to stay connected to those things in order to remain successful in their industries. So if we are to act like entrepreneurs and adopt the mentality, we have to understand that having connections is pivotal. And we know that innovation thrives in collaboration. We need a diversity of thought, of mind, in order to truly innovate industries. Okay. From a career standpoint, diversifying things is the best way to innovate. If you want to diversify your portfolio, you're innovating your portfolio and giving yourself the best advantage to making more money on a long-term basis. Diversifying your accounts, collaborating your accounts into indexes, other portfolios that have other bits and pieces or fractionaries of stock. Depending on where the market is, you have to do your research. Like we said before, you have to make calculated risks and decisions. This is finance, guys. Okay. But it's a collaborative effort that drives the innovation, the new idea, the new thought. Okay. NVIDIA or AMD partnering with open source AI changed NVIDIA's plans, didn't they? Were not seeing that coming. Okay. So entrepreneurs focus, extend beyond short-term wins to sustainable impact. What we want to do is be able to put systems, part of our job as change agents, and part of me as the coach, to coach this idea of innovation, is to empower you to go into a system and make it sustainable. Create something with change. Part of what I would like to do is get you to be as successful as you can with change and put put things in place, systems in place that allow you to sustain your efforts as change happens to you. Okay. Entrepreneurs are also guided by vision. They're compasses. They see it, okay? And they're grounded in their values. What do you value? Okay. Think about the things that you value, okay? Stay grounded in that. Foundational. A lot of, when you talk to billionaire business entrepreneurs, right? I watch the guy goes around, he talks to billionaires from Hard Knocks, right? The number one thing they talk about, well, how do you become a billionaire? I become a millionaire. They talk about values. Guys will be like, I believe God did this for me. Oh, yeah, definitely God. Family. There's always these themes. Family, faith, finances. That's what they talk about. They stay grounded in those things because you get caught up in the end product of being a millionaire, but you forget the foundational things. But most entrepreneurs that are successful, you can name most of them, they never forgot the foundational values. All right, closing this out. Developing this mindset of entrepreneurialism is a journey, guys. It's not going to happen. It's not a destination. There's no end to it, okay? It's a constant thing you must practice. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes willingness to evolve. This is part of the evolutionary aspect of change, okay? Each idea, each decision, each step forward refines the path ahead, okay? Every time you move the needle forward, okay, it refines your path ahead, okay? When you think like an entrepreneur and you see opportunity in resistance and growth in the unknown places, you're no longer just building a business. You're building change itself, guys. And that is where true work begins. That's why we call entrepreneurs change makers. And at the crossroads of wisdom and courage, where faith meets execution, the seed of your purpose is planted. All right. Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. This is Coach King. Peace out.